too, but do you have your Facebook connected too?
I have never connected my StreamYard to my Facebook.
You could.
Looking, maybe I can edit that.
Yeah, you can add up to two people, two platforms
I see that right now.
as a guest. That's why I love StreamYard, man. It's like it's fucking dope, man. It's dope as shit. I love your background too.
Oh yeah, thanks. Let's see.
I got a lot of questions about this pit bull world, man. You're gonna put the
I've got
rest
it.
of all of the
I've got an issue with that one. It's popping up some stuff that I'll have to navigate, so I'm going to postpone that one.
okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't understand. Let's go back.
You got your mic set up towards your mouth?
It's just automatic for this. Can you
Okay,
hear
good,
me?
good, good. I can hear you good. Yeah.
All right.
Wow, man. Over 20 people already, man. We got a guy that's, are you reading the comments? XL Bully, yep. Shout out to Matt Atkinson. Shout out to Lucky Mills 91. I guess that was the year you were born. You a baby. Are you seeing the comments too, Lee?
I can see them.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Arizona Doberman Kennels. What up? In the casa, in the house. Órale pues. Rehab, downtown Texas. I guess I'm waiting for this one. Lee. They said they're waiting for this one.
Yeah.
Even to
It's
both
showing.
of y'all brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's showing.
Oh, shout out to both of you. Yeah, yes. Thanks, my people. All right, guys. So I'm excited. Lee thought, listen, Lee, you thought we was on CPT time. Nah, bro, we on exact time.
There you go.
So Lee thought this shit was at 11 something. Didn't you? You said 11 o'clock?
No, I thought it was on June 11th. I thought it was
no.
June 11th.
No.
Yeah.
That's Juneteenth. No, you got it fucked up. Let me stop. Anyway, guys, I want to say thank you for showing up on a Sunday because ain't no football going on. I don't know if the NBA Finals have a game today, but y'all already know who's going to win, the Knicks. And you took time out to listen to us talk about dogs, right? And I want to welcome to the show my homeboy from the Deep South, Mississippi, where all the real people come from. Morgan Freeman, you name them, everybody came from Mississippi. Oprah Winfrey, all of them came from Mississippi. Born and raised.
I had steak dinner in an old girlfriend's backyard with Morgan Freeman.
Wow. Guess what?
Yeah, he came over and grilled out with us.
James Earl Jones. Guess where he's from? Mississippi.
Yeah. That was back in 1998, I guess.
Yeah, because I think Morgan's from Charleston.
He lives up close to Greenwood or Grenada. It's a little bit west of Grenada, about 15 miles west of Grenada.
Yeah,
Grenada. I dated a girl that lived across the street from him back then.
I know his daughter.
That was before I met my wife.
Yeah, I know his daughter Morgana. Shout out to Morgana out in Atlanta. All right, so guys, I want to. Somebody said Lee. Somebody said Lucky Mills 91. Shout out to Lee. You know that person?
Probably. It's hard for me to say when they got. I go by names more so than I do aliases.
Yeah. So I want to say
I appreciate all of our supporters, of course.
Absolutely. I want to say again, thanks for coming on and chiming in. Have your questions ready. I want to welcome to the show Lee Robinson from American Sentinels K9. Sentinel without the S, correct?
Correct. American Sentinel K9.
Right. American Sentinel K9, man. There's a lot of people clapping for you, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That's how it is here.
Yep.
And today we're gonna talk about something, and I want to say, people, first of all, we don't advocate dog fighting. We don't advocate abuse of animals at all. We are here to talk about the history, and sometimes speaking about the history or the past can be a little bit sensitive, but it's what made the dog and what makes us who we are today, right? So I want to say, Lee, I appreciate you being on and talking about this breed that has been probably the most durable breed of all breeds. The one breed that I know that when you send him on a mission, either he gonna come back completing that mission, or he ain't coming back at all because he has that actual die-trying instinct. Is genetically predisposed.
Yep.
So I wanna say, hey man, thanks for coming on. But also, man, tell the people who you are, where you based out of, and what is your breed of choice. But before I ask you that, I got a question. I ask all my guests this. Sometimes I forget, but I'm gonna ask you. Name me 2 of your all-time favorite movies that you can watch over and over, like Marshawn Lynch say, over and over again.
Sure. Well, that's an easy one for me because my favorite one, I think, relates to should be required content for anybody that loves animals, and that is the movie called Instinct. It has Anthony Hopkins and Cuba Gooding Jr. Where they were around the apes, the gorillas,
Yep. Yep.
and it's about givers and takers. And I've taught my children. I believe it's very important that we never take something. If somebody gives you something for your birthday or Christmas, you don't take it. You accept it, because when you accept something, you're displaying gratitude and appreciation. But when you take it, you're displaying entitlement. And I think it should be required viewing for people that want to work with animals, because animals understand that, because we do protection work. A taker is something that you need to defend against because they're stepping on your toes. We need to be givers and we need to be acceptors. We shouldn't be takers. I like that movie a lot with Anthony Hopkins and Cuba Gooding Jr. That's my first all-time favorite movie of all time. Another one that I like is Good Will Hunting.
Oh my God. Woo! Hey,
Yep.
It's not your fault. Listen,
Yep.
It's not your fault.
Yep. Really.
No, Lee, seriously.
Purpose.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah. Super intelligent guy, but he lacked purpose. And I think it's important that people identify their purpose. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how capable you are. If you don't identify your purpose, you're going to struggle in this world. And, we need to find our purpose.
That was, I have to agree with you. I'll tell you my 2 favorites. Well, I got about 5, but I'll tell you about 2 of them. But let me expound on that. Good Will Hunting to me was well written, well directed by Ben and Matt, because they wrote that.
Yep.
And that goes to tell you that there are so many, and some, and I know some, even in the dog world, that are hyper intelligent, where what's difficult for us is simplistic to them, right? But they chose a different path where people they're past clouds, or it camouflages what their true what their true self really is, right?
Yeah. Sorry, my wife was telling me bye. They're fixing to head out.
Oh, okay.
See you later. All right, I'm back.
That's okay. So I know a few people in the dog world. They're trainers, and they're hyper intelligent, like to the point they could have went to an Ivy League school and graduated magna cum laude.
Mm-hmm.
But they chose a different path, which diverted their intangible goals, if that was one of their goals, right? And so that movie right there resonated. Some of the people you and I know just in life that had that academics was never an issue for them. The common sense aspect is where they struggled.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, yeah, I love that movie. So 3 of my favorite movies. One is Gladiator.
Yeah.
Because it showed honor, loyalty, deceit, family, sadness, and retribution. Great movie.
Yep. Leave it on. Yep. I agree.
Other movie I like really good was Ghost with Patrick Swayze. And as a kid growing up, The Blues Brothers, the first one with Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Interesting.
You know, I'm an old dude, man. I think I got you about 10 years. I'm 56 this year. 55, I'm sorry. 55.
I beat you. I'm older.
So you understand Blues Brothers was a shit. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm older than you are. But,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
I'm old. I'm 56 right now. I'll be 57 in a month and a half.
Yeah, I'll be 55 in September. So we are the same generation, Lee.
Yep.
Where we grew up outside.
A couple of my other favorite movies. I liked Awakening, another Robin Williams movie, and Awakenings, I think it is. And then I like the movie Patriot, and of course I like the movie Gladiator as well.
I like the first Terminator.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, if you like that, you gotta like Alien also. The first Alien.
The first one, yes, that's the first one. Yes, the first one.
Yeah.
But when they start getting like extra stuff going on, it kind of lose me.
Yeah.
You know? Predator, the first Predator.
Yep.
You know, you got two governors in there.
Yeah, two governors.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jesse the Body Ventura was a governor.
Yeah, you're right. You're sure right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, two governors.
I forgot about Jesse. I forgot about him. I didn't remember him being in that movie. Yeah, I forgot he was in that movie.
Yes. He was the one that spit on the dude's boots. He spit on Carl Weathers' boots.
Gotcha. I'll have to go watch that one again. It's been
Get to the chopper. Come on, man.
That's right.
And let me see these comments here. We're going to get to it, but people loving our discussion. And I don't be having questions, man. You written down. Let me see. OMG Bach. Okay. They're coming in. I have a grandson and a grand champion hunch. His mother was STP Peggy Sue, exquisite animal. You know those dog names?
STP, but he's not talking about Sorrel's STP. He's talking about the kennel STP. What's his name? Oh my goodness! If I didn't ask myself, I would know his name. He ran a lot of Pat Patrick dogs.
Okay.
He had the dog Buck.
Here's a question. Elevated Amp 14 Lee. If you could bring back a dog from the past to the present time, which dog would it be? Jackson or Wrecker?
Well, I would love to have Jackson. Jackson or Boss or their sire, Chief. Jackson and Boss were litter mates, and they had a female sister named Reaper, who was a nice dog too. So Jackson, Boss, Reaper, any one of those three would have been great from that litter. They were all predecessors to Wrecker. Wrecker was sired by Boss, but then Boss's and Jackson's sire was a dog named Chief. I would love to have Chief. In my 36 years of working with animals and 26 years of really deep into the pit bulls and American Sentinels, the band dogs, Chief is the biggest game bred American pit bull terrier I've ever seen. I've never seen another one even close to him. He was 78 pounds lean, conditioned, which is totally unheard of for game bred dogs. And that's what I guess you could have probably got him down to the low 70s if you really ripped him out. But I've got photos of him lean. I could even send you a photo if you want to see him lean at 78 pounds. And when he was, heavier, he was like 85 pounds. But
send it to me in the private chat. I'm gonna show it. Hey, I want to give a shout out.
I'll send it to you here, but you don't have to share it. You can share it if you want to.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So shout out to my guy at Formula One. He's the guy that I interviewed. This guy is on another level, man. He is a genetic expert for his type of dogs. And he's the one that taught me the two words that I've used that have blown people out of the water. Hybrid vigor.
Yeah.
Shout out to Formula One. I got to bring that guy back.
Yep. So that's a picture of Chief right there. You might see at the bottom.
Yeah.
If you can't see it, yeah, that's Chief. He's 78 pounds in that picture.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you questions about this kind of stuff too.
Yep. And then I'll send you one more where you can see him next to a person, so you can scale him, so you can see how big he is, because you couldn't see it in that picture. That's him with a person. Just to give you an idea, in that photo, I'm 6 foot tall and 220 pounds. That's Chief at 78 pounds.
He's a band dog?
That's a game bred American Pit Bull Terrier. He was Sorrells and Hammonds. He's the biggest pit bull I've ever seen. It's really hard to find a game bred dog that size. A lot of people claim to have dogs that big, but they really just don't. Not real game bred dogs. I've never seen another game bred dog that size.
Somebody said Conan. Is there a dog named Conan out there?
Oh, he's talking about the movie Conan the Barbarian. When we were when we were talking about movies.
Oh shit! I got them started already. Get to the chopper. Okay, let's listen. We can do this on and on and on. Gotta get some more comments in here.
John Bemis, yeah, that was STP.
Yeah, John Bemis. Oh, you seeing these comments too?
Yeah.
Nice.
He said John Bemis. That was the guy that had the STP kennel. He was a legend. Very high record of wins.
So whitetail boss. I usually take questions towards the end, but we're going to take this now. He wants to know, what are the top 3 qualities you look for in picking a puppy?
Yeah, well, when I'm looking at a dog, I'm looking for determination. A lot of people look for aggression. I think aggression is overrated. I think determination is more important. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's some dogs that are bullies. They pick on other animals that are weak, and I don't like that. I'm looking for a dog that, it may or may not start trouble. I don't really care about that. But if I'm working a dog on a rag or something like that for protection work, or if I want to try to get a dog to go hog hunting with us, I want a dog that, it doesn't have to be the first one to start, but it needs to be the last one to stop. All right, it's going to stay on there no matter what, because that's what gameness is. Normally speaking, the more you do something with a dog, the easier it is going to be to trigger that response. So if, let's say, the first time I work the dog on a rag or a hog, maybe it's not super interested, but it finally gets started. Well, the next time it's going to be more interested, and the time after that it's going to be more interested. But what I want to make sure is they don't quit quick. So starting quick is not as important as once you start, you stay in it no matter what. And so, because it's kind of like writing your name. The first time you write your name, you might have to think about it, but once you get good at it, you don't have to think about it. It's automatic. And that's the way what happens with the dogs. Once they get that first encounter and they have success, it really becomes a natural response. So the determination is more important. I'm not looking for a bully. I'm looking for a finisher. Rocky Balboa was a stable-minded individual. He's obviously a fictional character, but at the same point, it's somebody that we're all familiar with. He's a fictional character that's very stable. He's not hot-headed. He doesn't go around punching people. But if you want to fight, he's ready for it. He'll go the distance.
So let's get into it. So I want to ask you. Go ahead.
Well, that's one trait. So stability, confidence, and drive. Those are the 3. And structure, of course, would be a 4th one. Because, if the dog doesn't have good sound structure, it's going to be hard to condition the animal and have good recovery. The dog has to be able to recover properly. So you're going to need good structure also.
So I want to ask you a question. Well, you got to introduce people. You got to introduce our audience and your audience. Reintroduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're located, and what breed of choice you breed.
Sure. Well, my name is Lee Robinson. You may see on my Facebook profile, it says H. Lee Robinson. That's just to differentiate me from all the other Lee Robinsons that are out there. But I go by Lee. My background is I have 2 degrees in animal sciences. I studied animal sciences from the University of Illinois. I worked at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens with an organization called CREW, C-R-E-W, which stands for the Conservation and Research of Endangered Wildlife. My master's degree is reproductive physiology. I primarily focused on genetics and behavior. That's what I studied. As far as why did I end up getting into dog breeding? I guess you could say it was kind of an accident. Back in the 1980s and 1990s, when I was getting my education and first getting started with working dogs, really, I guess you could say the 90s, from about 93 to 97. I had dogs in my whole life, but I would say professionally, I graduated from animal sciences in 93, graduated with my master's degree in animal sciences and reproductive physiology in 97. During this time, I was working dogs, but it was just companions.
Yeah.
They were just obedience. I wasn't doing protection work. I would just go hiking and I'd take my dog with me. I would train the dog obedience. We'd do some agility and stuff like that. I got some photos of some Akita that I had back in the 90s that we were doing agility with, and canine good citizenship type titles. And I noticed that time and time again, the domestic counterpart of the wolf, which is the domestic dog, was vastly inferior. If I went for a hike, me as a two-legged human being, I thought it was ridiculous that I could outwork these canines. I would go for a hike and I'd have to stop my hike and wait on a dog, a four-legged predator, to catch its breath. And I was like, this just bothers me. I think that we should expect more from our animals. I noticed that the human society has no longer needs the dog. It used to be a necessity. It was a necessity for protection. It was a necessity for hunting, to put food on the table. And animals back then, when they were necessary, they had to perform. But since we've replaced the dog with long-range firearms or ATVs, we don't need a dog for a sled anymore. We don't, we have snowmobiles and ATVs and better hunting equipment, and firearms for protection. So the dog has been replaced with modern technology. It's just not necessary. And what has happened is, even though the dog is still the number one deterrent for crime, what has happened is breeders are now breeding what they like instead of what they need. And as a result of that, they're breeding for looks. They're smashing in the faces. Why was Mississippi State University, the mascot, a bulldog? It wasn't a bulldog because it was short and smashed in face. Back when Mississippi State University and all these other high schools and universities and organizations that used the bulldog as a mascot, they did that because it was a determined, capable animal that represented strength and ability. It represented success. It represented winning, determination, commitment, and that's what the bulldog is. It's a determined individual that no matter what, we're going to complete our task. And yet, what has happened since the dog's not needed anymore? Well, now it's an English bulldog can't even knock over a trash can, much less be a predator. It's like, they can't survive without humans. They can't even give birth anymore without having to have a C-section. They've really lost their fitness and ability, and I wanted to reverse that. So I became a breeder, but I made my living as an educator in genetics and biology. Maybe you remember this. Back in the 90s, when I got my education, I didn't realize the potential there was in animal training. It has blossomed tremendously in the 2000s and 2010s. Back in the late 90s, there was a few trainers here and there, but they really weren't the trainers that I knew of anyway. I knew one trainer, and I knew one trainer that really had a business as that's what they did for a living, but it was a side business. I didn't know anybody that did it full time. And ironically, that trainer was one of my administrators, or what do you call them, counselors, when I was in college. So I trained at their facility, and they kind of took me under their wing and taught me some things. And I really it was a niche that I was called to, but I always kind of kept it on the side until I retired from teaching. Now it's full time.
What's crazy? You mentioned Mississippi State, and I thought you probably would have went there because Mississippi State is an agricultural school too, I think. Mm-hmm. And you remember when Jackie Sherrill castrated the bull before the game?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah. Jackie, you guys look up Jackie Sherrill, Mississippi State football coach. What he did while he was the head coach for Mississippi State, he castrated a bull. So obviously they were playing the Texas Longhorns or somebody.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, man, a lot of shit happens in the South. You know that, Lee. And it's second nature to us, but to the rest of the urban world, It's like, oh my God, I can't believe he did. They just Google people, Coach Jackie Sherrill castrating a bull at Mississippi State. And it recorded it too. But I want to get into this. I want to jump right into it. So why the pit bull? Why?
It represents the apex of performance and health, ability, determination. I mean, I can't think of any trait that the pit bull has that can be beat pound for pound. You know, there's obviously dogs that are stronger than the pit bull, but not pound for pound. When it comes for, you know, if you're going to be stronger than a pit bull, you got to be a lot bigger. And I love their determination, their health. They have great lifespan. They're super loyal when you get a good one. Now, don't get me wrong. There's unstable ones that exist, and it's the breed has almost become too popular because a lot of the people that are breeding these dogs don't really understand canine behavior that well. And as a result, they breed dogs that are unstable, and they kind of give the breed a bad rap. But when you get a stable one, man, there's almost no better dog.
So, well, that leads me to another question. So I notice usually when I've seen stray dogs, right? Like you'll see a German Shepherd hanging out with other dogs that are stray dogs, say 2 or 3 stray dogs. I never see a pit bull with a pack of other stray dogs. I've never seen that. Can you explain to the audience why is that?
They're all the boss. You can see a pit bull with another pit bull if it's the opposite gender, but if they're the same gender, it's not going to happen. They might get along for a while. I mean, I know people that have had dogs in the same household that were the same gender, and they thought they could get it to work, and maybe it works for a year, maybe even 2, but by the time they're mature, it just takes one incident and they don't get along anymore. And even if you have them of the opposite gender, you need to take some precautions to make sure they don't have that first encounter. Like feed them separately. I mean, I can feed 2 dogs in the same room, but I would never put food down next to each other and then leave the room. That would be foolish. You know, I can put food here and go over there and feed them. And they have like their feeding locations. And so like when I get a scoop of food, I have a really massive crate over here on the other side of the computer. One of the dogs runs into the crate because they know that they're fixing to get fed in the crate, and the other one gets fed by the bedroom door. So they both go to their locations at feeding time, waiting for me to put their bowl in. I don't put their bowls next to each other because if I ever have them get into an altercation, you have about 5 seconds, maybe not even that, to get them apart, because once they are in that mode, the hormones change. And when that hormones of adrenaline spikes, now it's going to be very difficult to get them apart. So you need to get them apart immediately. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. But if you're versed in how these dogs work, all that is very easily managed. Prevention is pinnacle.
Yeah. I noticed when I used to watch Cesar Millan when he was first on TV, most of the dogs that he owned personally were pit bulls. And then because Los Angeles in general has a very large population of rescue pit bulls or pit bull mix, what do you think, how he was able to get these dogs for that short period of time on TV? How was he able to get them to get along, especially when he's introducing somebody's dog to his camp?
Well, Cesar Millan, some people give him a hard time and don't like his stuff. I think he's good at what he does. He never called himself a trainer as much as he was a behavior modifier. You know, he dealt with problem dogs, and he really was teaching the people just as much, if not more, than the dog. Because how much of a change is he really going to make in a day or two when he's making a TV show? You know, he's interacting with this dog for a day or two. Sometimes he took it home. In a really severe case, he would take it back to his facility and work with the dog for a while, and make when the dog was really going to be too much to change in a day or two. But I think Cesar Millan did a great job for behavior modification. And one of the things that he does that I think is so successful is he doesn't overreact. A lot of people, like if you're scared of a spider and you jump up on the couch, then there's certain breeds of dogs that you shouldn't have, because that kind of panic mentality is going to precipitate problems, and you need to be a confident individual that's not only mentally competent, but also, excuse me, not only mentally confident, but also physically competent. And he was capable, he believed in himself, he knew what he could handle, and he didn't panic. He used what's called calm assertiveness. He could be physical if he needed to be, but one of the things I think he gets right is he uses the minimal amount of force necessary to get the job done. He doesn't go in there and beat the dog. He just says, I'm not going to allow this, and I'll do what's necessary to stop this. I'm not going to lose my cool and overreact. I'm going to have calm assertiveness. I think that you're a former police officer. How many times have you de-escalated a situation by being calm and assertive? Not assertive, but calm and assertive. I think that's important.
Plenty of times. And I will say this, you hit on a good point. I interviewed Grant Foster out there in Indiana. Shout out to Grant. He said something, you know how sometimes you think about things in the back of your mind, but you never verbalize it because you make it come to fruition all the time, but you never explain what you're doing, right? You just nailed it. Like when Grant told me, he said, when you do corrections, you do corrections on your dog without emotions. You don't have That's why when you said calm and assertive, when Caesar does corrections, he's not yelling at the dog. He does the corrections in a calm manner. And we grew up in the same era, so when our parents whoop us, they're never whooping us in a calm manner. They're like, didn't I tell you not to do that again?
Yeah.
That's not calm. But I noticed when I was correcting my soon-to-be 10-month-old, I'm trying to get him to go into the heel position. So what I'm doing, I'm using the wall next to me to make him come into a heel position versus going outward. And I have the pinch on now. So I'm applying a little bit of pressure. He was like, Arr! So I just said, OPA, he still got to come. Versus me screaming at him and yelling at him, I thought that was really, really good that I used Grant's approach. And what you said, I stayed calm. I made the corrections. I gave a little bit of discomfort, but he got the message. And the most important part was his recovery. It was just like that.
Yeah, good.
Didn't shut him down.
Well, when you're not calm, you break trust.
Yeah.
Because you look like you're unstable. And if you're unstable, how can you expect the dog to be unstable? They're going to follow suit. You overreact, they're going to overreact. You stay calm, and they'll say, hey, there's nothing here to worry about. I just got to follow leadership.
Yep. So let's get into it, man. Now, shout out to my guy, Dogman Mike Alston. That's his government name. He's always said, he's from South Central. He's in his 60s. He said, Gerald, I have a PIT. A lot of people have PET. Yeah. So let me explain to the people what that means. A lot of the pits, not all, but a lot of pits now have been bred to be calm, cool, and collective with low drive, low energy, but just great pets, Cocker Spaniel type pets. Mike used to breed game bred dogs. And there's a difference between game bred and game lined dogs. So back in the day, guys, when he was breeding pits, and this is 25, 30 years ago, the general census where they were breeding pits and they was keeping the superior studs or the superior females, whatever the case may be, and correct me, Lee, if I'm wrong, they were breeding them when it was, it's almost like cockfighting, without expounding on it too much, but they were being bred to challenge each other. And the strongest ones that survived were their stud of choice. Now, nowadays, I see people are using the game line bloodline for the high energy, resiliency, the intensity, and the prey drive to do other things like, climbing up the wall and protection sports. Larry Hansen is she loves the pit bull. That's her thing. She's probably one of the best female trainers west of the Mississippi. And so she loves pits for that intangible. Can you explain to the people the difference between um, game line and game bred pit bulls? And
Yeah.
tell me the history about it.
Yeah, I'm going to even add a third category there if you don't mind. I would say there's game line, game bred, and then game dog, a
Good
third one.
point.
And so I would say a game line, you're going back to history 20 years ago, 30 years ago. A family of dogs that was produced by somebody that for a long time has been known to have certain traits. Um, and in the box or in the performance arena of animal combat tasks. Um, that would be game line to me. Now, game bred would mean the direct ancestors, the parents, would be dogs from a game line, but they're not just from that line. They themselves have displayed that type of behavior, whether it be in some sort of animal combat that is not legal, or perhaps even a legal situation like hog hunting. Now, before somebody jumps on me and says hog hunting is not game, 99 times out of 100 or 95 times out of 100 at least, I would agree it's certainly not. But once in a blue moon, even if there's not a scratch involved as far as competition goes, that's as close as we're going to get to it today. Once in a blue moon, you can see an animal that's really getting hammered hard, and uh, the task was very difficult. For example, we had a dog one time that was hunting, and it was in an area that there was a lot of ice on the ground, a lot of snow on the ground, but the river hasn't yet froze. And the dog crossed a river to catch a hog, and the hunters weren't able to get to it because it was just too cold. They're not going to swim in 33-degree water, 20-degree air. The air temperature was like 20 degrees. The water was 33 because it hadn't gotten below, or somewhere around there. The water wasn't frozen yet. They're not going to cross that water and then get hypothermia coming out of it, because then you just freeze to death. So they had to drive around the river, and it took them an hour to get there. When they got there, the dog was busted up but still in hold, and actually was finishing that hog by itself for over an hour. So that was a very tough task. We've also seen, I had a friend of mine that was in Texas that was hunting with one of our dogs that got hit with a tusk in his anus, unfortunately, and
Ooh.
part of his intestine was damaged, and he had to pick up the dog and take him to the vet, but the dog had never let go of the hog. Well, it doesn't even finish there. So he picks up the dog to take it to the vet, but when he gets ready to go to the vet, he has to load up his bay dogs also, and so his bay dogs had already jumped and got another hog, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't. They're not going to lose the bay, because these dogs, when they're on the bay of the hog, they're not going to just walk away from a hog. They're bred to stay there and bay." The only way for him to get his dog to the vet was to get the bay dogs loaded up. The only way he was going to get the bay dogs loaded up was to release the catch dog. He had to release the catch dog. So he put that dog down, boom, he caught the hog again. This time, instead of dispatching the hog, he secured all of his bay dogs so they couldn't run away, loaded them up, and then he secured the catch dog. So the dog actually had to perform while it had injury. That, to me, it may not be the same thing as testing in the box, but I'm not going to do anything illegal myself, and yet I can still appreciate that level of determination, that level of commitment. It's like the movie Gladiator. You have a level of commitment and determination that is just determination and gameness are synonyms, but one is politically correct and the other is not. So when we say gameness, and then you talk about these type of things, there are certain people that are going to be offended by that task. But when you talk about determination, they can understand the value of that if it's handled appropriately. I'm not condoning anything that's illegal. I'm just one of the things that people need to understand is when you're hog hunting, there's a chance that you could get seriously injured by a hog if that dog lets go. So if you're going to use a dog in a hog hunting situation, determination is vital. Another type of situation is, let's say somebody breaks in my 10-year-old daughter's bedroom and I'm not here. Well, if you have a 50-pound dog that's determined because it's loyal, some people don't like pit bulls being used as protection dogs. I get that. We'll have that conversation if they want to do so. But let's just say a perpetrator, a pedophile or something like that breaks into my daughter's room and I'm not here to protect her. Maybe my wife is here, but my wife is she's not a gladiator. She's a frail woman. She's not going to be able to provide that level of protection. But you have a pit bull that may be 50 pounds, and maybe that man can throw that 50-pound dog around. But as long as that dog is determined, my daughter is safe, because even though the man can throw the dog around, if the dog keeps coming back, the man can't target my wife or daughter. They have to deal with that determined dog. So determination is a value when you're dealing with protection or hog hunting. And for those of you that have seen my cup here, I've been concerned when I pull it up a couple of times. Some people might think that says banned dogs. It doesn't mean banned dogs. It means a banned dog is a dog that is restrained until it's time to be released. It doesn't mean illegal. It doesn't mean ban dogs. It means to regulate the dog, to control it with a tether, a leash, a chain, whatever, to hold it back until it's time to catch its quarry, which could be a hog or a bad guy.
Let me ask you this. So, humans now, like you said today, like you just said when we first started talking, dogs can't walk, more than you. They get tired after so many miles, and they you can buy a stroller for your dog now.
Yeah.
Where your dog never has to touch the ground.
Yeah.
And having a dog strictly is a luxury, not a requirement now. Do you think that the humans species has taken the animal instinct out of the dog and try to humanize them now?
Well, they've definitely tried to humanize them, which is, they're not doing the animal justice. When you can you imagine if you were built like a Neapolitan Mastiff, or are you familiar with the breed Dosa? Not Tosa, Dosa, D-O-S-A Inu, the Dosa Inu?
I've heard of that dog.
Yeah, it looks like a Shar Pei and a Neapolitan Mastiff mixed together. It's insane. I believe I've got a picture of one of those.
Send it to me.
It's when you make an animal that's built like this, you're not doing the animal justice.
I feel the same way about Dobies.
All right, let's see. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is a Dosa Inu. This animal, it's plagued with genetic disease. It's got enough skin for 2 dogs. You can't even see the dog's eyeballs. It's like a sharp.
Look at its feet.
Yeah, its feet are terrible.
They're like seals.
And they think that this is like some ornate gargoyle type of beauty. That animal is handicapped. If you saw a human built like that, you're going to think one of 2 things. You're going to think that either they are incredibly lazy and have let themselves go, or you're going to feel sorry for them for having a genetic disease. One of those 2. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've done with dogs, and we've done it on purpose, and it's disgusting. That is a crime against animals.
You know what's interesting is that I was talking to Angela Patton out there in Vegas, Zenith K9, and she does a lot of PSA work, and she said something that was profound. And I'm gonna say it while I'm showing this. Some people think, oh, protection training is so cruel and it's inhumane, and we talked about it. She said, Gerald, you know what? When boxers are out there during training and getting hit in the head and getting hit in the face, I said, to you and me, that may be cruel, but to them, they love it. They love that,
Yeah.
right?
And the weapons that we use in training, they're not actually harmful to the dog. Like, for example, I have a big bat. It's a bat, but it's a wiffle ball bat, and it's not one of those skinny, hard wiffle ball bats. It's a big black bat that's about this big around, and when you swing it and hit something with it, it collapses like a balloon. And so it's more about psychological pressure than it is actual physical harm. So we're testing the dog. I mean, if you're going to have a dog that you're going to rely on in a protective situation, you need to know how it's going to psychologically process something that's coming in over its head that's going to strike the dog. And so while they're very tough animals, I don't want to do anything that's going to injure the dog. We're just kind of like testing their psychological ability to take pressure. Sometimes there may be some pain involved with like a whip or something like that, but it's not done in a way that's going to ever harm the dog. You know, we don't hit them with a real bat because that would break bones. That would injure the dog, could kill the animal. We're hitting them with a plastic bat that's not even one of the skinny ones. It's one of those big fat ones that collapses. And we actually cut the plastic when I got the bat, and I put some rocks in it, and then plastic welded it closed so you can rattle it. And the rattle is just like a little child rattle. The rocks they're contained in the bat, so they're just rattling to give psychological stress to the dog. This is a female of mine named Onyx. We're going to walk her into the room, and she's going to engage the man.
Got tambourines and everything. Wow. And she still went through that.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Now, these dogs are a little bit, they have a little bit more size than the regular pit bull. Are these the band dogs?
Yes, sir. These are the band dogs. It's called the American Sentinel. It's a pit bull mastiff hybrid that we've been working on for 26 years. Studied for 36 years, but breeding for 26.
So let me ask you this. When you're picking a dog for your program, because, you know, for me, I'm a stud guy, right? So when my dogs are turning 3-4 years old, I'm already looking for another dog to take the place, but to learn how to be a stud guy, how to be a stud dog, learn the behaviors. When the other dogs are barking at the gate or people walk by, I want the puppy to learn that behavior. I want him to be confident. When you're picking a male pup to be next in command, when that time happens, what are you looking for? The intangibles. What are you looking for first? And then the tangible part of it.
Yeah, well, determination is going to be drive and confidence are going to be the most important. And when I say confidence, that's a synonym for nerves. I want a dog that's not going to be nervous in a situation. I don't like a dog that, even if it has drive, if the dog stands and looks around, you know, real bug-eyed, like, you know, I don't want a dog that's nervous. But at the same time, I also don't want a dog that's confident that lacks drive. They have to have drive, which means, all right, a lot of people misdiagnose the word drive. We hear the term prey drive.
We call it play drive.
In my opinion, it should be called hunt drive.
Right.
The desire to hunt. Because prey, I think of rabbit drive or squirrel drive. That's what I think of as prey. But it's really about the hunt, you know, because it might be a rabbit, it might be a squirrel, it might be a hog, it might be a deer, you know, whatever the game is. It's the desire to hunt, chase, catch, and kill for the purpose of consumption. However, I've seen some people say it's also food drive. Well, I disagree with that. It's a little different than that. For example, an animal with a high prey drive will hunt, chase, catch, and kill even when it's full. And like a rabbit. I mean, you take a cat. A cat will kill a mouse just because it moved. You could have fed that cat and it can be completely full, ready to take a nap. But if a mouse runs across the room, it's still going to instinctively chase and catch that rat or mouse, you know, because that's what prey drive is. Or hunt drive is. Then you have defense drive, which is the desire to or willingness to defend oneself against an attacker, even if that attacker is coming with a superior force. It's the willingness and confidence to stay in combat. Now, there are individuals that are fear-based defense, which I personally don't like a fear-driven dog because I don't think you can rely on them. If the threat is overwhelming, a fearful dog will look for the back door and run away. Now, my daughter's in the bedroom exposed, by herself when that perpetrator comes through the window. So I would rather a dog engage through confidence form of defense or through hunt drive, and it's not food related, y'all.
What about this kind of drive?
Huh?
What about this kind of drive? It's called fight drive.
Yeah, some people don't believe in fight drive, but fight drive is a real thing.
It's a real thing, man.
It is a real thing. And it's easy to differentiate that too, because prey or hunt means to go out and pursue something for the purpose of hunt. For example, when you think of hunt drive or prey drive, we're obviously talking about a predator, right? An animal that is pursuing something for the purpose of food, even if it's not just about food. Defense is only to defend against an attacker they say it's to stop the threat. All right, well then explain to me why a herbivore, such as a deer or an elephant, during the rut for a deer or the musk for an elephant, they're both herbivores. They're not hunting for food, but they love combat. And if they know another male's in the area, they're going to hunt him down. It's not about defending just their little spot. They're going to go looking for it. The same way most men who are strong fathers, if somebody harmed my daughter, or if you have a daughter, somebody harmed your daughter, you're not defending her now because the threat was over. Let's say that you were on vacation, you came back a week later, and you found out about it. They didn't want to tell you when you were gone. Everything's okay, but you this was totally unacceptable. I'm not going to accept this. And you want justice to be done. You're not defending them now in the sense of defense drive, but you're not hunting for food either. You're pissed. A hunter is never pissed at a wolf is not angry at the rabbit. But you are. If somebody hurts your daughter, you're angry and you're going to hunt them. So it's not like defense where somebody's coming at you. This is fight instinct. You're wanting to eliminate their existence because what they did is you get it as a man and a father. I'm sure you get it.
Yeah. So for me, I'm asking myself that question, what I'm looking for. So, when you get puppies, of course, Lee, nothing's fucking guaranteed. You know that, right? They can cap out real quick and then start going downhill. They do too much fight, pray, bite, and then they cap out. Like it's just a routine.
Sure.
For me, I love, if you're going to stay in my camp, I'm going to know within the first 9-10 months if he's going to be a keeper for the minimal stuff at first. I like doing protection training. I like to see how civil he can be, right? I want a dog to have a lot of ball drive, a lot of food drive, a lot of prey drive, but I want him to have an edge. I don't want my dogs to be very forgiving, right? I don't want somebody who's been agitating the shit out of him, and then within 5 to 10 seconds later, he can go in there and reach and just pet him. I don't like that, right?
Yeah.
I want my dog to keep that attitude, but clarity with these male dogs come with age. Takes my boys a couple of years, I'll say almost 2.5, 3 years for that grown man shit to start clicking in like, okay, things are clear now, right? I prefer to have dogs that are who can recover from new shit. I posted a video before me and you got on. My boy has a problem with tambourines, tambourine curtains. So now I'm putting that shit in front of his crate. I'm putting it in front of his food bowl. I'm laying down there with the tambourine. I'm putting a tambourine all on my neck. So you can't be around me without this tambourine making these noise, right? And his recovery is pretty good. That's something that won't even hurt him.
Right.
My question is to you is, when you're doing protection training, what are the foundations you're using to see if a dog can cut your camp?
Sure. Well, like I said, I look for the confidence and I look for drive, but I also, what's more important than where the dog is how fast it progresses. So the ability to make progress is every bit as important as where the dog is. In fact, I may have even brought a dog out at one time that maybe somebody there didn't like. And I'm like, well, I've seen some things in this dog that tell me there's more to the story here. Let's just keep on working and see how he adjusts. And with a little bit of work, the dog progresses very rapidly. And then literally in one day, the person that didn't like the dog tomorrow loves the dog. Why? Well, there was something there that I had got to see at home that told me this dog is going to progress faster than you think. It's never been off the property. It's hasn't been exposed to things. I took it off the property. You saw it the first day it was off the property. I want the dog to it's not about just being off the property. It's about learning to travel. So I want a dog that can learn to travel. And then once it learns to travel, it has no problem with it anymore. It's good. So, if let's just say hypothetically that you took Albert Einstein and you raised him in a closet, never let him read a book, never had to give him a teacher, do you really think he had become the PhD physicist that he became? He's not going to do that. He has to get exposed and have the resources that help him reach his potential. The same is true for a dog. They can have great genetics, but if you don't do anything with it, you're not going to see it. You have to get them exposed to things so you can analyze, does this dog really have the genetic potential to excel or not? What's the rate of progress? How fast do they progress? That's important.
Let's get into something very, very serious here. To me, I'm all about dog, especially young dogs, puppies developing. I'm all about nutrition, but also physicality, but also mobility and aesthetics. Gotta look good. When I show people this picture, let me do this one. People think off the bat, they're thinking, oh, the dog's malnutrition. Oh, he's starving. Oh, he's underweight. Share me that picture, the first one you showed me of the first dog. I want people to see this. I say
the 78-pound dog that was.
Yeah.
And I probably got.
Because there's a method to my madness here. Because for me, an ultimate fit dog, you should be able to see the waistline. I love people who say, "Oh, my Dobie is 110 pounds. My Rottweiler's 160 pounds." Say your fucking dog's fat.
Yeah. Well, here's the sire to that dog that we were talking about. This is his sire. It's going to probably make the case just as much as the other one. I can't see him right now. It's not pulling up.
Hold on. Let me do this. Let me add him to the stage. There we go.
So that's the sire. And I mean, I've got some dogs that are even leaner than that. Let me find. It doesn't bother me if a dog is. Let's see. Let me think of somebody that I had.
I like symmetry. I like definition. I used to bodybuild for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And let me. Should I say that? I'm not going to say that. Put it like this. They want us to be so conditioned. They want us to be, I'm going to say, penis skin tight, where you're so conditioned, you can see the vascular veins, you can see the muscle tone, you can see definition. That is real conditioning. Oh, let me put this one up.
This is one of our American Sentinels. A lot of people would say he's too lean because you can see they think that's his ribs. Those last two lines are not ribs. That's actually abdominal muscles.
Yeah.
That's going to be the serratus anterior group.
So, what is your process and reasoning for dogs to be conditioned? I'm gonna call this conditioned. What is the
Yeah.
process and what is the purpose?
Well, you know what's cruel is asking a dog to do a job and then not letting him be in the condition to do it. So if you have a dog that's overweight and that dog is going to catch a hog and be expected to perform, but it has too much body fat on it and it can't move quickly, or it gets tired, now it's going to get hurt. So the dog needs to be able to perform. I mean, can you imagine if we asked a MMA fighter to step into the ring out of shape? They need to be in shape. Otherwise, they're going to get hurt. I cannot go compete at my age like I could when I was 27 years old. I mean, I'm out of shape. I'm older. I don't have the body for it. So if you're going to perform at a high level, you need to be in shape. And yeah, I could get in shape, but I'll still never be the same as when I was 27 or 37.
I love keeping my, and here's what I do too. I don't know if you do this or not. You probably do, but I do intermittent fasting for my dogs too. Like I may not feed them for like a day and a half, 2 days.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for the dogs because it resets their digestive system. They can pass through all of the food that they've ate throughout the past week. I do raw. I try to do raw as much as possible, but sometimes you just can't. So I do kibble, but I make sure that the kibble is just a proportionate amount because some of this kibble have so much crude fat that they can get fat on it. Like I deal with a Nunchuk. Nunchuk is one of the dog foods that have high crude fat. Therefore, dogs keep weight on them. Sometimes I want to be able to shut them back. I don't have to do 3-4 cups. I can do 2 cups, right? How do you feel about intermittent fasting for the dogs, and what is your feeding regimen?
Sure. Well, we feed in the wintertime. We typically feed every day because of the coldness, and we have so many dogs that are outside. We have house dogs too, but excuse me. But with the dogs outside, I feed every day in the wintertime. But when it's warmer out, I believe it's good to fast them once a week. And when I say fast them, we feed adults. We feed one time a day, and if I fast them one whole day, that means they went 48 hours with no meal because the intermittent fasting is 24 hours automatically. That's what we do once a day. But then one day a week in summertime, if it's 90 degrees out, you know what else is hard on a dog in the summertime in Mississippi heat? We might have 95 degrees or even 100 degrees. The heat index may be 105 or even higher in some situations, and it's humid here, so it's difficult to cool off. Well, I have a ton of shade on our kennels, and so it actually stays fairly cool in there, believe it or not, because the concrete, while concrete in the sun gets hot, the concrete in the shade gets ground temperature. Yeah, it gets ground temperature, and so they can lay on that. But if they're out there cutting up and acting a fool, they're still in 95-degree weather, and it's humid. So, an overweight animal is going to be more prone to heat exhaustion and things like that. So we don't want the dogs to run hot. We try to keep them in shape. We deworm once a month, just to help eliminate any parasites. We use ivermectin for that. But yeah, I think intermittent fasting is essential. We don't do it year round, but we do it probably 7 to 8 months of the year.
What's your go-to combination when you're creating your own band dogs? What are the 2 breeds of choice that you're doing to create the band dog?
Sure. We have 4 breeds in our dogs. If I was going to start over, I'd only have 2 breeds. So the 4 breeds that we used are the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier, the English Mastiff, the Neapolitan Mastiff, and the Tosa Inu. Not the Dosa, not the breed that we saw earlier. It's the Tosa. Yeah, the Tosa is
not the Dosa, but the Tosa.
That's right. So the Tosa is a good choice, but you're going to have a hard time finding good ones in the U.S. And the Neapolitan Mastiff is the one breed that if I could do it over, I wouldn't waste my time with it. A lot of people would be offended by that, but look, you're asking me my opinion. I'll tell you my opinion. The Neapolitan Mastiff is plagued with hip problems, and it's also got other health problems besides hips. They have stability issues, but really the hips are the biggest problem. A lot of skin. Um, I find that the females of the Neapolitans tend to be a little bit small. The only two breeds that I would use if I was going to start it over would be the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier and the English Mastiff. And the English Mastiff gets a bad rap. There are actually more good English Mastiffs, in my opinion, than there are good Neapolitan Mastiffs. The problem is because the breed is popular enough, it's not popular, but it's popular enough that they're easier to find, and people seen them and they've seen bad examples of them. So they leave a bad taste in a person's mouth. But just like there's bad examples of English Mastiffs, there's also bad examples of other breeds as well. You know, some of our viewers or some of the people that may watch your show, they may have seen a Husky that was great, and they may have seen a Husky that was not so great. Well, when you're looking for a foundation dog to create a band dog, you're not going to use any individual that's not great. You need a great individual from a great line. Okay, they need to be very, very healthy. So the individual is going to be more important than the breed. But if I had to generalize what breeds would I use, it would be the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier from the Sorrels line is my favorite bloodline. And then if I had to choose another bloodline, I would probably look for some Mayday stuff. But the Mayday became so popular that it's easy to find a Mayday dog. It's hard to find a good Mayday dog because people were breeding them because of pedigree. And when you breed stuff for pedigree, you're going to lose the performance. The Sorrels line was still rare enough that the people that had them were pretty much performance-based breeders. So they stayed true to type as far as what Bert Sorrels was producing. And it's my favorite bloodline. They check all the boxes. So that's what I would use.
So have you imported before to bring some new lines into your program? And if you have, where was it from? Import from out of the country. Where's this, Canada?
I imported. Our Tosa came obviously from. We imported our Tosa Inu from Canada. The bloodline goes back to Japan, and there are also bloodlines of Tosa that go to China, and also bloodlines of Tosa that go to Korea. But the ones that we used, it came in through Canada from Japan. That's where that line originates from. But I wouldn't bother with that. Now, I did know a guy named Reverend Smart. He was down in New Orleans, and he had some Tosa that were really phenomenal. Those would have been some good ones to use, but you just don't find them like that. You know, most of the ones look like out of shape bloodhounds with tighter skin, and it's not what I'm looking for. They don't have the muscle tone or the power or the durability, or that I would, or the size. Some of them may be big, but for the most part, they don't. And the Borbal. Is it okay if I talk about the good and bad of different breeds?
Hey man, listen, man. This is an open discussion.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, the Borbal is, if you get a good one, beautiful, beautiful animal, muscular, ripped, in shape. But most breeds have a lot of hype behind them, and I find the Borbal to be a victim of hype. They talk about how they would protect farms from lions and stuff like that. Let's be realistic. One Borbal, I don't care how awesome he is going to be killed by a lion. And that's why they had to work in packs. And you can't have alpha dogs working in a pack. It doesn't work. Alpha dogs, you can have a male and a female, but that's it. You put 2 males together, 3 males together, 8 dogs together, the way these Borbals worked, 8 dogs, you don't have any alpha dogs. You have subordinate dogs. And that's what I found with the Borbal. They're beautiful animals, but they're not true gladiators. The reason the lion doesn't come in is because there's 8 dogs over there, and they get what that gang pack mentality, where as long as they're in the group, they act tough. But when one's singled out, it's game over. They don't want it.
Yeah, the lion is an apex predator. He's hunting everything, but nothing's hunting him. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen where a lion lose to a dog.
Right. And you know what's different is the game bred American Pit Bull Terrier, it doesn't know it's a lion. It just goes in. And it's going to pay the price.
But he will go in with that intent to kill that lion.
Yeah. He's going to lose, but he's going to try.
He gonna take something with him though. He gonna take something with him.
Yeah, you might get my lunch, but I'm gonna get a bite of that sandwich.
That's true. That's true. All right. Last question. Let me take some questions here. Give me some of the most prominent American Pit Bull Terriers that you wish you could have bred off of, and tell me why those are some of your favorite Pit Bull Terriers and who owned them.
Sure. Well, I'm very blessed to have had Frankie Bop. He's one of my favorite pit bulls of all time, and we owned him. We bought him from Madison Parker. You can talk to Madison if you like. He was a great dog. But if you had to go back in time, I've got to say that I would love to have had access to Blackjack or Blackjack Jr. Those Tudor's Blackjack and Tudor's Blackjack Jr. Those two dogs would have been very interesting to me. Then Black Widow was another one that I would love to have access to. I don't know if you know who Blackjack and Blackjack Jr. are, but I can share you a link so you can see him.
Share. And why?
Well, one, I think they were not only beautiful, but also the dog was a 16-time winner. So that's just a crazy amount of success in its venue. All right, let's see if this is going to allow it. Let's see, let me exit that. That's not working.
What are you in, a flux capacitor? What's that? I hear something winding up. Are you in your time machine? What is that?
I guess that's the fan on my computer.
I'm like, what is that?
Let's see if this is going to show.
Come on, Doc. We got to go back to 1985.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, let's see. Give it 3 more seconds. It says it's going to close in 1 second. Let's see if it closes. All right, yeah, here we go. All right, so this is Blackjack here.
Somebody said a game-bred American Pit Bull Terrier mixed with a Borbal could be interesting. Somebody said Blackjack looked to be an amazing specimen. Perfect conformation, too. Fire.
All right, I got to share screen. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Tudor's Blackjack right here.
Yeah.
Earl Tudor. Are you able to see it, or is it showing?
Yeah, I can see it. Can you see it?
Yep. I don't know. I'm looking at the screen instead of looking at the view. Then here's another photo, a couple other photos. Let's see. I don't want to click on it because who knows what you're going to go to, but this is a dog that I think would be a phenomenal one. Another phenomenal dog would have been Baker Davis's Boomerang. I need to be careful when I do something like this. You never know what you're going to find. So
we'll do that until you pull it up. Baker to Vegas.
Baker. All right, here's Baker Davis's Boomerang.
Is ready to show?
All right. Yep. You can share it. So that was another legendary dog that was considered to be unbeatable. And the reason why I like these
click on his picture.
Do what?
Click on his picture.
I can zoom in if that'll help.
That's the one that says American Sport Dog, the American Pit Bull Terrier.
Let me see what you're looking at here. I'm sorry. I got to click on the share this tab. My bad. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's Baker Davis's Grand Champion Boomerang. Yep. Wow. That dog was used a lot in the Sorrells line, and a lot of people don't know it because Bert Sorrells hung pedigrees on that dog. But this is where knowing Madison is going to was helpful to me, because Madison actually knew how a lot of those dogs were really bred. Madison Parker, for those of them that don't know, or for those of you that don't know, was a conditioner and handler and breeder of many of the Sorrells dogs that Bert Sorrells had. In fact, one of Bert Sorrells' most famous dogs was a dog named Uncle Bud. That was the dog that Madison Parker actually produced.
Questions, and then we'll get to it. And we'll take some questions. Somebody said the pit bull and Boerboel mix. You think that'd be a good combination?
I think it'd be interesting. I just don't know if the Boerboel. I've seen several Boerboels that were great as far as looks.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I've seen even a couple that were titled. I've never seen one, never won. And I'm not going to name the dogs because I don't want to throw anybody individual under the bus. But I've never seen one take pressure that it viewed as pressure and go forward.
Forward aggression.
Yeah. I've seen them take pressure that they did not view as pressure, but once they realized that it was not a game, I've never seen one stay engaged.
They shut down or they back off.
They shut down. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I've just never seen one take the pressure and move
good
forward.
Point. Let's take some questions. Elevate says Blackjack looked to be an amazing specimen, perfect confirmation too. Somebody said great choice. Blackjack Jr. was the base of the old Henry line that created Amstaffs. And it says, I'm confused. I thought Mastiffs in general were pack animals, fighting and pack like bulls.
There's some truth to that, but I think the Boerboel is more of a pack animal than the Mastiff. And although that may be more true today than it was in history, I think historically speaking, the Mastiff was more of an alpha dog than it is today. You know, and honestly, I haven't really messed with Mastiffs much in the last 10 years, you know, for the most part. We started our program breeding back in 2000, and the best Mastiff I ever had was a bitch named Eclipse. And I have a good video of a dog named Caesar, if y'all want to see that. This is an English Mastiff. I can pull it up and share it with you.
Somebody said Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, Queen of Hearts. That was a great dog for sure. Let me find this.
Let me see. It's no mention of Chinaman or Crenshaw Jeep or Honey Bunch. Who are those dogs?
Yeah, you're kidding, right? So those are Tom Garner bred dogs, basically. Well, they're not. Chinaman wasn't bred by him, but he was owned by him, and he produced the Frisco line, you know, basically from that. The Jeep, of course, those are famous dogs as well. You know, ironically, their legacies are great, but then also there's something to be said for connections with people that were really there. You know, Pat Patrick is a friend of mine. Madison Parker is a friend of mine. And while there's always a possibility that Madison Parker and Pat Patrick had some subjective bias against Jeep or Chinaman, they may have had some bias against it. Both of those two individuals never really collabed. Madison Parker and Pat Patrick never spoke, but when I spoke to both of them, they both had the same opinion. And because of that, even though those dogs were legendary, I just don't think that they had the traits that I was personally looking for.
Somebody said they're curious to know what Lee's thoughts on the bull herder.
Yeah, can I share a video with you real quick?
Sure.
This is going to be a video I think your viewers are going to like. So let me pull it up.
I think you're loving the StreamYard thing, ain't you?
Oh, I've been using StreamYard for a minute.
Oh, so you already know it? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to let this play, and I'll be right back within 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, guys. So it's pretty interesting. Let me show you. Get these questions in too. Um, Zabwe. You ready?
All right, I'm back.
Yeah. So what do you think about bull herders?
Um, so the bull herder, I think, is a great dog, depending on what one wants to do. So if you want to do sport, I think it's a good candidate. If you want to do police or military work, probably a good candidate because the pit bull adds to the herder. It adds tenacity, it adds pain tolerance, and it adds power. But for me, I have to look at my goals. I'm not trying to do sport, although I think sport's cool and I think our dogs would really do it really well at sport. The herder brings intelligence. That's the only thing that I see it bringing to the table is intelligence. And with the Sorrels dogs being very intelligent, I can't say that they're, well, let's just say, for example, that the bull herder, excuse me, the herder, the Malinois, the Dutch Shepherd, let's say that they score valedictorian. The Sorrels dogs are salutatorian. They're maybe just right there underneath, but they're still darn good. But what they do have is determination and gameness and ability and health. And so when I'm using Mastiff blood to get the size and power up, if I added in the herder, I'm going to lose so much of the size that now I'm basically, you could have a dog that would be good for a lot of things, but I just don't think that, you know, the old saying, rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, I think to me, adding the herder to the bulldog costs too much gameness without bringing enough to the table. You're going to lose a lot of gameness. You're going to lose a lot of pain threshold. Yes, you have drive. Yes, you have nerves. Yes, you have agility. Yes, you have trainability. You know, a lot of things that you need in a good dog, but you're giving up pain tolerance and stability. Well, if I just stick with purebred pit bulls, they're right there with them. I mean, you've probably heard the statement that a pit bull can do anything that any other dog can do and then whoop that dog. You've heard that before? Well, look at what Larry Hansen has done with the pit bulls. She has done really well in French ring, and she's competed very well in other sports. Is she winning nationals? Maybe not. That's maybe for reserved for the Malinois and the Dutch Shepherds. But the pit bull is right there on its tail. And then if you tried to ask that herder to do what the pit bull can do, not going to happen. So it's just not, to me, the bull herder is making a weaker pit bull and a weaker herder. If you want a pit bull, get a pit bull. If you want a herder, get a herder. I don't think the bull herder really, for me, it's, well, when I say a weaker herder, I'm talking about it's less intelligent than the herder, but what are you getting in exchange for it? You maybe I would probably prefer a bull herder over a true herder because I don't like a lot of shedding. But I'd rather have a pit bull than a herder. I'd rather have a pit bull than a bull herder or a herder.
You know,
I like the dogs. I just like their pit bull better.
What's interesting is that the only people who really are purchasing or looking for Dutch and Mally are trainer to trainer.
Yeah.
I mean, the general population, like I consider myself a consumer. Even though I'm a breeder, I'm not a canine trainer. I know how to train a dog, but I'm not out there looking for a Dutch Mally mix. Other trainers are looking for Dutch Mally mix. Other trainers are looking for bull herders, the cheat code.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say the Malinois makes a lot of bad trainers look good and make a lot of good trainers look great. And to me, it's the reason why I'm just speculating here, and I love Larry. The reason why I'm suspecting she's probably not winning on a national level, that some people are biased. They just can't look beyond that this breed out here is kicking their fucking ass.
Yeah,
Of course, the Mallee makes obedience look really, really good because it's a few inches taller, and it just the energy level is there. But a pit bull herd dogs go right in those blinds. They go right over the jump, right over the hurdle, over the window, through the woods, with just as much intensity
sure,
and willingness. But they're not looking beyond what the breed is, and that's
sure.
why they fucking
Yeah,
are over with that shit.
for the pit bull to beat the Malinois at the Malinois game, it has to be clear, very clear.
It can't
Not
be. It
close.
can't be neck and neck. You have to. They have to be way up here, which
Right,
is unfair.
right,
So
right. I agree that may very well be a factor. I'll even say, let's just say hypothetically, that the Malinois is always a little bit better in sport. Maybe the case. I'm not going to say that that's not true. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But you know what it is? You know what's also true? That when that Malinois gets shot and the pit bull gets shot, the Malinois is done. There's been, a lot of 99 out of 100 pit bulls will probably also be done. But we've all seen videos of a pit bull that got out of hand with an irresponsible owner, and the police had to use deadly force, and the pit bull remains engaged. Now, many of them quit and holler and run back to their house, but those are pet bulls like that other guy was talking about. When you get a true game bred dog, pain almost never makes them quit.
some of them, I think, pain increases their drive.
Sometimes it turns them on at another level. Yep.
Man, we could talk all day. Do you know we've been talking for an hour and 30 minutes?
I hear you.
This is the longest I've ever had an interview with somebody. It don't even feel that way.
Wow.
Guys, if you want to follow Lee, and you want to get more information, you may want a dog, you may want some training. Even if you're not in the South Central region, which is Mississippi, follow him on American Sentinels, American Sentinel K9. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
American Sentinel.
And for those that don't know what the word sentinel means, and I know that you know what it means, but because we talked about it earlier,
Sure.
but some people don't know what the word sentinel means. They think of centennial, like the 100 years. It's not centennial. It's kind of an unusual word that a lot of people don't hear. But now that you know the word, if you watch the movie Transformers or you watch the Marvel series, you'll hear about it from time to time. The sentinel is a guardian. And, the sentinels are guardians. And so the American Sentinel that's what it's a wordplay of the word guardian.
Guys, I want to say thanks for coming out. Lee, I want to appreciate you. We got to do this again in another 30, 60 days, man.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
Guys,
Thanks for having me, Bill.
No problem. Guys, I always tell you at the end of every podcast, no matter what you do, stay resilient, but be responsible. Until next time.